It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Business Chat, and today we're going to be looking at the telecommunications industry and just to paint a picture of what's going on in there. In studio today we have Mr. Adil El Youssefi, who's the CEO of Airtel Kenya. Now, Adil, just to get things off rolling, there's been a lot of dynamism in this industry over the last 1 year. I think you wouldn't go a week without hearing something or another happening in the industry. Is this kind of the rich dynamism that this industry needs just to as a signal for growth?
Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for having me here this morning. Absolutely, the answer is yes. You know, our industry is extremely important and integral to the everyday life of Kenyans, and being visible, being dynamic is a sign that there is a lot of demand out there, a lot of expectations out there from our consumers, and that the industry is rising up to that challenge.
One thing we've been hearing about is this MVNO, for those people who don't know, mobile virtual network operators, which has been something of a good and bad thing depending on who you talk to. From where you sit, is it a good or bad thing?
It's obviously a very good thing. Yeah. You know, customers are looking for choice. Customers are looking for innovative services. So competition is a healthy thing for everyone, and the MVNOs will bring more services, more competition to this industry that desperately needs it.
Yeah. Just speaking about MVNOs, it seems like you've been the biggest beneficiary of this, because you seem to be partnering with a lot of the MVNOs that are coming up, just being the carrier of choice, because essentially they don't have a network of their own. So have you partnered with all the MVNOs that have been licensed, or just of the one that we know of?
We have partnered with all the MVNOs that have been licensed. As of today, 3 companies have been licensed by the Communication Authority to become MVNOs, and we're very pleased to say that they will all be based on our network and be powered by Airtel.
Yeah. Just looking at that, FinServe, Zinocell, Tangaza, yes. How much opportunity is there for growth, especially for Airtel?
There is a big opportunity for growth. You know, as I said, you know, MVNOs are here in Kenya to do the same thing that they have done in other countries, whereby providing a very niche and specific service to a specific segment. For example, you have mentioned 3 of them. Those 3 partners are really targeting a niche segment. And you know, when you are targeting a consumer with a very specific need and a very specific proposition, then you create growth. Growth for the MVNO, growth for the customer because he or she sees a new service that they need, and growth for the host network, whereby we can use our unused capacity, we can offer our quality products, be it voice, data, our regional reach, both in Kenya and across the continent, to these MVNOs and their customers.
Obviously, you've just mentioned that you have a capacity that allows you to do all this. How much capacity do you have, and will we see a point where perhaps it will grow to a certain level where now your resources start being stretched?
Well, as we said before, we have actually ample capacity to cater for the new customers through our MVNOs partners. And obviously, looking at capacity, this is something that we look at long term. So when we do our projections, we see the utilization of the network, the rate of growth that we have on our utilization, and we are proactive in increasing our capacity to ensure that our customers continue enjoying the quality voice that they have, that Airtel is known for, the quality internet that Airtel is known for, both for Airtel customers but also for the MVNO customers.
And just looking at the whole growth matrix, where does Airtel Kenya fit into all this?
Well, you know, our industry's growth is really based on 2 factors. The first one is internet. The explosion of internet demand throughout the world, and Africa is no exception. Sorry, and as you know, Kenya is at the forefront of internet penetration in the African continent. So internet is a really big growth driver for our industry. The second growth driver is penetration, is getting more customers with using a phone. Kenya is a very young country. We have many people coming of age to be able to use mobile phones. So that's a second driver of growth that we see in the industry as a whole. And there's a third one, if you will, that is particular to this market, is actually unleashing more choice to customers. As you know, our industry is really dominated by one provider who has significant market power, and we're working with the regulators, and we're extremely happy with their support to ensure that we have balance and to ensure that the customers have choice in this market. And the MVNOs, our effort with the regulators will help us hopefully unleash this growth potential that will benefit both the MVNOs, Airtel, the other players in the industry, but ultimately the customers, because they will have more choice, they will have more services, they will have more affordable services and things like that.
You're just looking at Airtel Kenya. Obviously, the business as a whole has been in the country for about 14 years. So far, 5.3 million customers. But you recently got a chance to acquire more customers through the sale and acquisition of you assets. Now, how important is that business to you?
It's very important, and as you said, the network has been operating in Kenya for 14 years, and this just shows the commitment of the company to this country. Also, the purchase of the acquisition of new customers is a big signal that the company is actually sending to its customers, to its partners, that we are very serious about doing business in Kenya, that we're very serious about ensuring that our customers continue enjoying the quality services and the affordable services that they have been enjoying across these 14 years. So it is very important for us. Our industry really lies on scale. Scale allows us to invest more in our services. Scale allows us to invest more in our interaction with customers. And as I was saying earlier, being in an industry that we feel is imbalanced, that the market structure is imbalanced, every chance that we have to acquire that scale, we take it so that we can, rebalance it a bit while we continue working with the regulators, with our stakeholders to ensure that world-class regulation is brought into the industry for the sake of consumers, for the sake of allowing them to have access to more choice.
Just looking at the way the industry is, obviously one player has almost 70% market share. 85% market share. You're there with about 25, growing now, I guess, with the acquisition. Do you feel, as a player, do you feel frustrated about the kind of scope that you have for growth, or is it an opportunity for you to also reinvest and actually compete and actually kind of chip away at that market share?
I think the answer is yes and yes to your question, right? Yeah. Obviously, we feel extremely frustrated, and not only us, right? I mean, the exit of you is a symptom that the industry is extremely sick, yeah. Right? The fact that the fourth operator, as you know, is publicly looking for partners is another big sign that the industry is sick. And why is the industry sick? Because you have one player, as I said, with 85% value share. 85%. I just want us to keep that number in our minds, right? So that shows you that one player controls the industry. Well, regardless of whether that player is offering the right services, the right quality of the customer, that's not the question, right? The question is, do we want an industry where customers have choice, or do we want an industry with one player? That's the fundamental question. Yeah. And this question has been answered all around the world. There is regulation that's called significant market power that is imposed on companies in any industry that go beyond the center level of market share. And what we're saying, along with all the other players in the industry, is that we would like that world-class regulation to be brought into this country for the sake of consumers, for the sake of bringing choice to consumers. And I've been extremely happy with the level of support that the regulator have given us and having given the other players in the industry. We're extremely hopeful that over the next few months, that regulation will be brought into this country, because that will actually allow everyone to have a level playing field. Now, that being said, we also need to step up our game. We also need to invest more in our capabilities, invest more in our people, invest more in our customers, so that we can provide them with a reason to choose us. And the reason to choose us has been there for 14 years. As you have seen, we are known to have one of the best quality networks in this country. Airtel, as you know, is the fourth largest mobile operator in the whole world, is the second largest mobile operator in Africa. So Airtel has the assets of offering innovative services to the Kenyan consumers, has the assets to offer the Africa gateway and the world gateway to Kenyan consumers and Kenyan businesses, if we have the right regulations that allow us to compete on an equal footing in this market.
Obviously, regulation is one aspect of it, but the argument that's been bundled around is that they have made the kind of investment that has allowed them to be where they are. Now, just looking at Airtel Kenya, obviously you're part of Bharti Airtel, which has large financial muscle. Are you going to leverage on that to bring it here, or are you going to allow Airtel Kenya as a unit just to grow homogeneously and just ensure that you have the right products to attract the kind of customers that you want and actually chip away that dominance?
Well, as you said, Airtel Kenya is part of Bharti Airtel that has significant financial resources that allows it to expand in its market. And we have the backing of our shareholders and the backing of our group. We, the commitment that we have made to purchase the customers of you is no low fee, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a significant investment again that we're making, that we're signaling that we would like to grow in this market. But regardless of the level of investment that you can bring, there's at some point where the scales are tilted, there is no guarantee. There is actually very little chance to recoup return on those investment. And again, that's why significant market power regulations are there, to protect investors and to protect customers. So yes, the group, the Airtel management, the Airtel staff are ready, are doing their best every day for their customers, but that's not a sufficient condition. We need a necessary one, which is the right regulation in this market.
Obviously, regulation, and it seems to be coming in through thick and fast. Recently, we saw the Communications Authority of Kenya just lay out a whole, especially when it came to that acquisition of you, where there were about 7 critical areas that needed to be met. One of them was around infrastructure sharing and just being able to use the kind of infrastructure that is around to ensure that all players have access. Now, looking at that kind of regulation, has it started to happen, and are you still engaging the regulator in terms of the kind of assets that you're able to use to ensure that you offer same kind of services, be it from money transfer to call towers, all of that?
Absolutely, absolutely we are. And I want to commend here the Communication Authority for their foresight, and really their hard work and their willingness to bring in this world-class regulation into the market. As you said, part of the conditions to acquire you, we had several aspects that the Communication Authority wanted to happen in the industry for that transaction to move. Unfortunately, those conditions were not accepted by all parties for many reasons, as you know, right? And we have agreed with the regulator and with the other parties to move ahead, because we didn't want to see you customers be left on the road, right? We didn't want to see you assets be left on the road. So we said, okay, let's really fix this issue that we have here. Let's move ahead for the sake of these consumers. That being said, we got, and we are hopeful that these conditions will be brought again on the table very soon by the regulator, whereby infrastructure sharing is brought in, whereby significant market power regulations are brought in for the sake of consumers again. We have several examples around the continent, several examples around the world where this has been brought into the industry and has provided more choices and better services to consumers. Yeah. British Telecom in the UK. British Telecom had significant market power in the 90s, and the regulator came in and split that company into 2. Why did they split that company into 2? Because that company actually controlled significant number of assets, of the telecom assets of the industry. So the company was split into 2. One entity manages the assets, and one entity manages the consumers of the retail brand. And the entity that has the assets offers, at the same prices, with the same quality, access to those assets to all players in the industry. And now that industry is flourishing, is growing, and for the sake of consumers again. Same thing is happening in other markets as well. Infrastructure sharing is important. It's extremely important, because it allows the investors to have access to critical infrastructure at a reasonable cost, so that the price to the end consumer is also affordable, right? If you have one player managing only those assets, the prices are high for the consumers, because the monetization is only from one. Yeah. So it's all win-win for everyone, and we would like our friends in the industry to see that. We would like them to embrace change, embrace innovation, so that the Kenya telecommunication industry, the Kenya ICT ecosystem as a whole, flourishes and continue growing and continue setting the trend for ICT in the continent.
Regulation is in place. Now, does Airtel Kenya have that kind of growth plan that will see it actually match what it's been fighting for and actually get the kind of market share that they're looking for to actually even be a significant player in this market?
Absolutely. We are ready. We are excited. We are motivated. We're happy to operate in this country, in this industry. We can bring in significant investment to the country. We can bring in significant know-how and experience from the Bharti Group. We can bring in significant synergies with the continent, as I was saying earlier again.
Can you give us some of the examples, perhaps? What are some of the key areas that you're looking at in terms of growth?
As I was saying earlier, data, internet is a key area, growing internet access to the country, enabling, internet today is an enabler. And when we talk to our customers, they use internet to study better so that they can get better grades and get to better universities and apply to better jobs. When we talk to businesses, they use internet to market their products to more customers, right? They do little videos, little pictures of their product, they send around, they do tutorials on online, etc. So internet is really an enabler to unleash the potential of people, to unleash the potential of the economy and potential of the country. So that's a huge growth area for us. The second growth area for us, as I was saying earlier, is our wholesale drive to MVNOs, right? Yeah. Several people want actually to use the telecommunication industry to leverage their services better for their customers, because everyone now needs their phone, need their internet access everywhere. So that's another growth area for us. The third growth area is that we see Kenya as a hub. Right? Kenya as a hub for the East African region, Kenya as a hub for the whole continent. And Airtel is extremely well positioned with its asset in the region and in Africa to really give access to the Kenyan consumers, to the Kenyan businesses, to the region. And we have that ready for our consumers.
Where do you see Airtel Kenya in 5 years?
Airtel Kenya in 5 years is one of the leading mobile telecommunication service provider in the country, yep. Really helping our consumers prosper. How will helping our customers reach their potential, be it businesses, be it consumers, and really being a trendsetter of the industry.
Mr. Adil El Youssefi, thank you very much. That has been
Thank
the
you,
CEO of Airtel Kenya, Mr. Adil El Youssefi, just painting a picture of where the industry is and where Airtel Kenya sees itself in the next 5 years. We take a short commercial break, and when we come back,